If you're positive, you better bless this space. If you are negative, you better get up on my face. If you are positive, you better bless this space. If you are negative, you better get up on my face. If you are positive, you better bless our space. And if you are negative, you better get up on our faces. Wave a little selenite for you guys. Wave a little selenite for you guys.
Welcome, if you are new, and welcome back to another episode of Witches and Weebs, Witchy Wednesdays. Hooray! I am Zari.
Yay! And I'm Space.
And we have a super cool episode for you guys today. As said by the title, yay! Spell work. Let's spell it out, and not with letters because we're bad at English, so we can't spell properly, but with magic. Hooray!
Spell check and Google are my best friends because cannot English and still am learning to English.
English is hard. English is very, very hard.
And anybody that speaks English as a second language gets stars in my book. That's all.
They get brownie points for mine too because
that's just hard.
I can barely speak one, and you out here speaking multiple, so.
But yes, so we're going to learn about fine-tuning your spells and why probably a lot of y'all's spells sound and feel like they have backfired on you. Because I truthfully don't believe that spells backfire, because why would you, the universe, because you are part of the universe, backfire on yourself? Sorry. It's either not going to work or it doesn't work as you thought it should. And that's a different kind of story. So, well, you kind of have to think about it in a way of spells are energy, and energy takes its time for one. It's lazy, and it takes the easiest route. So when you're asking, I'm going to do the easiest type of explanation, is when you're wording a spell it has to be worded correctly. We've all heard stories of somebody who did a spell and technically had things come true, but it was in a way they didn't actually want at all. It was in a way that backfired on them, or it was just not how they were thinking of it. So you have to think about the common loopholes that a spell or you would take. So if you say, I want money, okay, cool. You have a paycheck in the mail, it's going to make sure that paycheck doesn't get lost. That's it. So you tell the universe, I want money, and hoping to get some help with rent. Well, rent comes and there's no extra cash in sight. Your spell didn't work. Woo! That's not exactly what happened. But then 2 weeks later, a surprise wad of cash ends up all but lands in your lap. Well, you didn't tell me you needed it by rent, basically. Timeline is important.
I have some opinions about, spells when it comes to money. Only because, as someone who has tried to, manifest or spell cast money before, I also follow a really nice TikToker named Jasmine. I think we both follow Jasmine. There's too many sources that I've seen about money specifically. So one was instead of saying that you want things, you speak as if you already have things. Now, this is not applying to witchcraft because I learned this when I was doing spirituality. So it's probably not correlated at all, but it might work for some. Now, it's not one size fits all, but it could work for some, just in case this doesn't feel like it's working.
So, with that, those are more so, that's manifesting. It's not witchcraft. When you're doing a spell, you are asking the universe that you want something to show up.
Right.
So you use more of a terminology that is I want things to, but of course, you should be not norming. Really, I want money is a terrible way to word a spell at the end of the day. You shouldn't ever word a spell I want this. You should be wording it more along the lines of I request a little assistance for the end of the month. I need help paying my bills.
Right.
Something like that.
Right. Because I want seems very greedy and selfish, and greed and selfishness are not rewarded, especially if it's not for like a good cause.
I think that wanting things is not inherently selfish. It's about what you want.
And how you want it, really.
Thinking about everything in a negativity way is not good. We need to stop with the nihilism, because thinking that wanting thing is a negative is exactly why you don't get things. You have to want things. You have to, okay, we want witches and weebs to succeed, so we have to work for witches and weebs to succeed.
Right.
So wanting is not inherently selfish if you're doing the things to get them.
I didn't necessarily mean it like, oh.
So if you're doing, but you're already putting in the work to get the selfishness away from the want.
Right.
Because you're doing the spell work, then that's energy and time. So yeah, you can word spells a little differently than if you were manifesting. And I think that that's where you're coming from. You're coming from a mindset of spirituality.
Right. I said that.
But you have to think about it. This is not spirituality. So you word things different here.
Okay.
You already did the act of you already did the work of being able to say, I want help getting money for my rent by the end of the month, because I did this spell.
Mm-hmm.
So I need the universe to do the rest of it.
Okay.
So that's where it's not selfish or greedy, and that's why you can word things like that.
Okay, I learned something new today.
Because you've already done the work of the spell itself and put your energy out into the universe for it.
Okay.
So you've already done your work.
Yeah, manifestation and witchcraft are two completely different things.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't overlay them very much, because spell work is requiring you to do the work of the spell first before it comes. You can't just be like, okay, I'll do the spell whenever, but you can bring me my stuff now. Manifesting is you can bring me my stuff whenever, and I'll slowly do the work over time.
Right.
But spell work is I'll do the work right now, you bring me the money when I need it.
And this is why specification is very important.
The funny part is, never put that together until I had to explain it to you.
Lamau?
I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense as to why manifestation and spell work is way different. It's like, she's coming at this all wrong. And I was like, oh.
Hello, apprentice witch here. I don't know shit.
No, that's fine, because that's why I was like, she's coming at this all wrong, but now I have to explain this point and explain something to me in my mind. And I was like, oh, now I know how to explain it to other people. That's all.
You're welcome.
So we're like, for spells, we're doing the work now, so you can be a little bit more, I want something. It's okay to want, because you already did the work. There's also, you could say, I want, and with wanting for money and spell work, truthfully, I don't really say I want money, because money is energy. I say I need energy returned to me in some fashion. But however, if you actually need cash money, ask for cash money. Like, if you need help paying the bills, ask for help paying the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't ask for energy to help you pay the bills.
That's fair. Unless it's like, I feel like an exception here would be like someone who does art. I need energy. Okay, sure, here's energy so you can do art, you can get commissions, those people give you money and time, you can pay your rent.
That's fair, but I would just ask for something. I wouldn't even ask for energy, I would ask for like passion or motivation or drive to do my artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So you could even get more pointed with your spell work if you're doing something like that. So, but if you're just working a regular job and being like, I need help paying the bills, asking for money is perfectly acceptable, because you ask for energy and they might send you people that if you asked, they'd be able to help you, but you don't know that you can ask them. They're sending you people because people are manifestations of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be careful with your wording. Magic will often take the path of least resistance, just as any human would. So if you've already got a paycheck on the way and you say, I want money, it's gonna keep it from just coming in the mail. There you go. It's no big deal. I helped, see? So you have to be like, it would be good if you specified that you want your spell to work in addition to the stuff that you're already doing. It will also always take bare minimum. So if you say, I want money, but don't give a specific, I need money to help pay my bills, you might find a quarter or 3 quarters on the ground in a couple days. And whew, there's money. Look, money. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, don't go crazy. Like, I want $1 million.
No, it has to be realistic.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be the bare minimum that Source can provide you. That's exactly where this point comes through. It's going to be the bare minimum.
Right.
Even if you ask for $1 million, it'll give you $1 before it gives you $1 million. If you have easier access to $1 million. If you have easy access to $1 million, then sure, it might give you $1 million. But if you don't have easy access to that $1 million, it's not going to give you that $1 million.
Right.
The universe isn't there to make assumptions. You have to be very pointed with your wording. Like, again, if you need help paying rent, I need help paying rent. So
Right.
It knows, okay, you need to make this amount of money by this day. Okay, cool. Then the universe knows. So sometimes spells do happen for the worst. And it's not that technically, let's say this is more, money typically doesn't happen for the worst because it's just typically you don't have access to money for the worst kind of vibes.
Yeah.
It'll just be like, I can't give you shit, boy. But this is more along the lines if, let's say you had 2 friends that have been flirting. You cast a nice little spell because there's mutual interest. Can't go wrong. Turns out they're actually terrible for each other. But you didn't know that.
This is why I don't like the thought of spell casting on people without their consent.
That's exactly why you don't do it without their consent. So you would cast a little spell to see if any mutual interest it blossoms. You don't even have to be like, okay, I'm gonna cast a spell for them to get together. You can cast a spell that says, okay, if there is any interest here, then please let it blossom. Giving it the out that if there isn't any interest, nothing's gonna be controlling them.
Right.
However, it happens, but they turn out they don't work together. They're interested in each other, but argue constantly. They bring out the worst in each other. You had the best intentions, but there is no way of knowing that would have happened.
Right.
Personalities be personality. This is why a lot of witches will always include for the highest good of everybody involved when they write their spell good. For the highest good. They will include that specific line work.
Yeah, we do in that in
every
manifestation too. Just so
Yes.
it's like not anybody won't get, I don't want to say crossfire, but yeah, we do that in manifestation too. And it's more of like protect all who are involved, or basically protect everyone involved with your protective light, or make sure, or not, I don't want to say make sure, but it's like make sure that no one comes to harm during this time period, and like trying to take the safest route of manifestation. So like nobody involved is harmed or done dirty.
This fail safes pretty much a lot of any kind of negative reaction that might come around from your spell work.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as it's like, oh, for the highest good, this shit would have not do anybody's favors. So
Right.
unless it's a lesson that they have to learn, and then it's like, sorry, gotta go.
Yeah, even then it's like people look at that as negative, and it's not really negative. It's more of like
lessons.
an experience.
Like you have to, that's what people don't understand, is that for every negative thing that you went through, I know it sucked, but you did learn something. I'm not the trauma as a child, and you're a child. You're not supposed to go through trauma as a child. But when you get older and like a relationship failed, yeah, that relationship taught you something about yourself. You should probably learn it. But like from like 21 and on, those are life lessons that you're supposed to be learning.
Yeah.
Another layer is that if you ask for dreams, you have a lot of dreams, but you might not remember them. You should probably make sure to word yourself that if I want to dream a lot, I want to remember them and make sure that they are important. I asked for a lot of dreams. I don't remember shit about any of them. So
Specify. Always specify. I can't stress that enough. Manifestation, even spellcraft, just specify.
See, it's all about specifications. And with spell work, since you're already doing the work right in that moment, you don't have to worry about the spell. Once it's done, it's out, it's over. You don't have to worry about anything. writing, it's out of your hands. But with manifestation, it's you're speaking it now and doing the work later. So that's
you can't just speak it and then leave it.
No, you do the work after you speak it.
But and also manifestation is like, ooh, my voice just cracked. That was nasty.
I felt that in my throat, actually.
Manifestation is less wording how you want things and what you want, and more the steps to getting it. And I can see that is the difference between spellcasting and manifestation. Manifestation is spellcasting with the work. So you're not just like leaving, well, you're leaving it to source, but it's a 50-50. You have to put in the work, and when source sees you putting in the work, source is going to help you. Whereas what I'm learning now, you write the spell.
Yeah, here's the thing. Spells are not just about writing. You sit down and you have a whole ritual with it to put your energy into the spell. And that's what I was going to talk about next. Is why I spoke about a lot of the things for our vibe check would come up in the spell work episode, because writing a spell is only half the battle. You have to pick out, you don't really have to pick out, but in truth, the more energy and time and effort that you put in.
Well, while this happens, I just want to say, with manifestation, all you really need is the power of your mind. And when you have that, it's like, okay, now things are coming to me. I put in the work, I put in the energy, things are coming to me. You don't need the crystals, you don't need the herbs, you don't need the spices, you don't need the sigils, you don't need any of that for manifestation. So that is a very clear-cut line of manifesting and spell work. And I kind of get it now, because there's a lot more that goes into spell work, which I can understand why you don't need the energy. Well, I don't want to say energy, but like the whole manifestation thing. That's why you can just sit and let it work, because you're taking all of these things, you're putting it into a spell, and then you're leaving it to the magic. Whereas again, manifestation is 50-50. You're leaving it to source, you're leaving it to yourself. And if you're not doing things, source is not going to do anything. But if you already did all that work for your spell, source is like, okay, I see that you put all that energy into it. I'll help you out. Just sit back. Let me do my thing.
If you put in the energy of finding the right color to use, the right candle to use, the right circle, because you set up a circle around you, energy circle. If you do it on the right day, if you take time writing out the spell to make it sound all fucking fancy and shit, so source is gonna look at that as your work for your spell,
right?
And it's like, we got you. You figured out the herbs, you figured out you're borrowing energy from all these different places. It's a much more fast-paced, tracked situation.
Yeah.
But I will always say do spell work and manifestation if you are spiritual and witchy at the same motherfucking time.
I'm just now realizing that I was doing both of those things, because I was under the impression like, okay, well, I want this manifestation to be strong, so I'm gonna use this crystal, and I'm gonna use this herb, and I'm gonna use these oils, and I'm gonna put them into a jar, or I'm gonna put them into a little baggie.
Yeah, honestly, if you're adding all that kind of stuff into your meditations or your manifestations, you're doing spell work. Hate to break it to you.
And it's crazy, because I would do
the spell
work.
Manifestation is you, and you're alone. You don't need anything else.
But listen, I would do the spell work, and then I would also put in the work physically too. So it was both of spellcasting, and it kind of felt like a safe, a foolproof way to ensure that my manifestation would come to fruition. So it was like a fallback method, kind of.
Like I said, I would always do spellcraft and manifestation at the same time, because who's it gonna hurt? You're gonna be working to improve yourself and having a spell to fall back on and be like, I'm Gucci,
right?
Bitch.
Like you are double protected, you are double manifested, yup.
So I'm actually going to talk a little bit about a spell that I did 2 nights ago on Sunday, because I felt like it was a good night. I was going to do it today, but vibes weren't right it's just trust me on this. I knew me on me. I knew my energy and it needed to be done Sunday. So what I did is I put a little research into the type of deity that I was going to ask of, because for spell work, it's perfectly fine to ask various deities and petition them to help you on your spell. It's not asking to work with them. It's literally just being like, oh, I'm going traveling. Can the god of travel bless me on this trip? That's what this is vibe. It's like you're praying to God to just give you a good pat on the back for your trip. So this makes me want to go into a lot of polytheism, paganism, fucking shit.
Write it down. Do a short on it.
A lot of people don't actually understand that. Yes, people typically followed more heavily one god, but they would ask the other gods for other things that were a part of their domains.
Oh yeah, that would make sense, because it's like you're a farmer and you follow a specific god because that's your religion, but it's also like, well, I want to pray to the god or goddess of spring so that my crops can grow nice and healthy, and it's like my god doesn't do that, so I can't pray to this other god. Why can't I do that? That's not fair.
You would absolutely do that. It would not be a question. You would pray to the god that works with the domain that you need. It's not a case of you just ask your specific god for all of it. It's gonna be like, I that's not my place. I can't.
Right, because there are gods. Yeah, there are gods that have their specific domains. Ooh, I got questions after this. Oh boy.
It's like so Poseidon is the one that I work with more heavily, because he's been the one that I've been following me for years. But for this spell that I did for Witches and Weebs, when I use my pendulum, there's a lot of shit that I'm about to drop in this episode. To divinate who I should work with, Demeter answered me. So I petitioned Demeter to help Witches and Weebs grow like she would the spring and summer and farmers. So yes, you can go about asking various. The irony is that you picked that example, and I was like, that worked perfect, because I'm about to talk about Demeter. So you can use all these different things to ask the universe during spell work. Yes, Mia.
I just want to say, please don't come up in here with no Lore Olympus shit, okay? Because I've read Lore Olympus, and people are gonna be like, okay, well, such and such was not that great. Please don't reference Lore Olympus as actual mythology. Thank you.
Guess what? All the gods suck. I hate to break it to you. They're concepts. They're all concepts. So they act in retrospect of them just being a concept. Zeus liked to father children because he was the father of all the gods. Didn't matter if the person that he wanted to father the children with wanted it or not, because he said, I want a baby with you. And that's because he is the concept of being the father of all the gods. He does not act, and none of them act within human morality. So stop attaching human morality to concepts. Thank you. That is my TED Talk. Thank you. And it spit, don't tell me.
I just had to get that out of the way.
Absolutely. But there's also, you can attach your spell to the moon phase and do it on a specific moon phase. I used incense. I used a couple different herbs to help boost my spell. And I took a piece of charcoal, went outside and burned it in my yard to get in tune with nature and to be more grounded. So there's a lot of different aspects that you set up the spell that isn't just writing the words out. Because yes, you can just write the spell out, and typically I would just burn it for the energy and that'd be the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the more layers that you add on to it, the more you're gonna get out of it.
Right.
And again, depending on your definition of witchcraft and what kind of style of witchcraft you do, a chaos magic person might not need anything but their words alone, because that's what they believe. That's the difference. To me, it matters what your belief is. What you believe is fact.
Yeah.
So what works for you is what you should be doing.
Right.
So if you try someone's practice and it's like, this doesn't fit me at all, okay, then that's not for you.
Everything is not one size fits all.
Especially witchcraft. I feel better when I add more elements into my spells. I know people that can get a candle, light that candle, spell, they're done. And it works 100% of the time. They're one of those witches, that's because that's what they believe works.
Right.
And it works. And the universe is like, you believe that? I got you, bitch.
Candle magic is real.
So you just have to believe that what you're doing is going to work.
Right.
And of course, you know, for me, I always do the manifestation and the other kind of work. Like, I can't ask for witches and weebs to do things and to progress if we weren't actually filming and doing shit.
Right.
And doing the work already.
It's
so I
the
could
fallback.
only do this. Spell is always the fallback because you can't do anything with no work.
Yeah, they are very, I feel like that's why, again, specification is important. I cannot stress this enough. We cannot stress this enough. You can't just do something and then have zero intention behind it. I want my YouTube page to grow bigger, and then you're not posting anything on YouTube. How is your page gonna get bigger when there's no videos to be watched? How do you expect to be exposed or get exposure when you're not putting yourself out there? That's not how that works.
That's not how that works at all, unfortunately. As much as the introvert, so actually I don't even think I'm an introvert. I think I'm just socially anxious, and don't look at me, but that's me. I understand. I would love to be like, if I could just make my YouTube grow big, 1 million followers, I have one video. That's great.
Right.
That's not how that works.
It would have to be one lucky mini viral ass
Holy
video.
Shit.
You
That
know
must be
how
the greatest.
lucky you have to get for that?
Oh yeah, there's no way. Let's be logical with put in the work. And like, I knew that we were recording this week for 3 times, and I was like, this would be a perfect time to do it on Sunday to get the energy for it. That's why I'm like, if you can tell, I'm really sick actually, and I'm just coming over like quite literally the flu, where I was dead in bed for Thanksgiving. We didn't even go to Thanksgiving. We were invited to my aunt's Thanksgiving, didn't go. Was not traveling 2 hours. I slept the whole day. I slept like 72 hours together over the weekend, like probably Thursday through Sunday. Thursday through Sunday I probably slept 72 hours altogether.
You 3 whole ass days.
I was fucking tired, dude. I didn't talk to anybody.
That's fair.
I literally, when you came home on Sunday, I told my husband, I have to talk to Mia today. I have not existed to anybody.
That's fair.
And he was like, fair, I might kill you right now.
I was when I go out and I travel for holidays, I don't pay attention to my phone because I'm too busy socializing with people. And then when I come home, I'm like, all right, everyone, I'm going to ignore all of you for a day or 2. I'll see y'all then, because I'm socialed out. I don't feel like typing to anyone. I don't feel like speaking to anyone.
Blame you.
I'm out of here.
I don't blame you. And I was like literally dead to the world. Didn't talk to anybody for 3 days.
Yeah,
because
I don't.
She wrote me a reply, and I was like, woo. But okay, so we're gonna talk back about to be honest, a lot of the stuff that I've already, like, you guys have now understand how to write a spell properly. Be very specific. Just be fucking specific. Say exactly what you want, when you want it, because this is the time to ask. If you're doing a spell, that is the time to say, I want this, this, and this.
Be practical and logical and realistic about it.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure that you understand that it has to be, okay, this is going to come to me in the easiest, the bare minimum, the fastest, the whatever timeline, it's going to be the easiest route.
For XYZ.
Exactly. So be very, very specific. Spell work is all about being specific, and that is 100% why people think that their spells backfire on them when spells don't backfire. Thank you. Comes to my dead body.
But I wished for money, and now I'm broke. What do you mean it doesn't backfire?
When did you ask for money by?
I
Are you
didn't.
doing anything from? Okay. Are you doing anything for money?
No.
Okay, then you can't get money if you're not doing anything for money.
There's a lot of nuance that I don't feel like trying to ask about, and I'll ask later, but I do have questions.
There's
hypothetical questions.
There's tons of nuance. Like, that's why you have to, when there's a nice little section at the very bottom of this little cheat sheet that I have up, I comb through, like, I asked myself a couple questions. What am I specifying? What am I leaving up to interpretation? Could any of that manifest in a way that I would be unhappy with? Take a little time before you start casting to smooth out these kind of wrinkles.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so this is just my little ADHD brain thinking. I and this is, mind you, I'm an apprentice witch. I'm baby, so I don't know much. This is all space. But at least for me, a method that I would try is like writing, I want to say like a reference sheet. Okay, cool. You got a little sigil for money here. What is this spell for? Money. What do you need the spell for? Oh, well, I am trying to get money because I need this or this and this and this. And, you know, it's less materialistic and more resourceful. So it's like I would like, or I want, or I need money to help pay my rent. I am currently an artist and I would like to start taking on commissions so it can help me fund a lifestyle to help my husband so he's not paying everything himself. Now you can probably streamline that. You don't have to do all of that.
I would honestly say don't write a spell like that, but you can use that as the basis to write your spell and to start wording and thinking about it more deeply.
Okay. So what was wrong about that?
I would, it's not, a spell should be something that you should be able to say alongside what you've written down.
Right.
You can't necessarily say a reference sheet out loud, bitch. I hate to break it to you, but look at my money sigil and look at all my little things. So
I am a social media influencer and I'm going to do all of these things.
But I would say that doing a reference sheet like that is a great way of breaking down your whys and your hows and being like, okay, so I can write it like this and I can word it like this. Because for me, I always speak my spell out loud. Like I say it in a cadence it's like a prayer. It's not something that you just write down. I do write it on a piece of paper, but that's to burn it for the energy of the fire that I ask. But this spell is actually done verbally more often than not.
It's like D&D, verbal, somatic, and material component.
Exactly. So for me, all my spells have a verbal component because my voice is the most powerful thing of all. So yes, doing a reference sheet would be a great way of setting up your spells and being like, okay, I need money for this, so I need to word it like this, and what am I looking at all the different angles that it could go wrong or be misinterpreted in a way that you would be unhappy with, so you could reword it. But I would always, rule of thumb, write it out as if it's like a poem or a haiku or whatever kind of little flowy cadenced thing that you want.
Yeah.
Do it something like that so you can be able to say it out loud like a proper spell.
If you're positive, you better bless this space. If you are negative, you better get up out my face.
That's a spell.
Instead of, dear witchcraft, today I'm writing to this because I need money.
That is honestly kind of what it sounded like when you were talking about your reference sheet, and I was like,
I need money. I am currently a starving artist on the street and I am hungry. Like, bitch, you can't say all of that out loud. I mean, you could, but that's not for the spell. The source knows why you're asking. You only need to ask and make sure you don't need to break it down to them. They're gonna be like, yeah, bitch, we're there with you. We know. Dear source, here's my sigil. I need money.
However, sigils are a great addition to spell work, especially if you put it on, like, I have the piece of paper that I write my spell down on. I'd put a sigil on that 100% and just burn that for the energy of fire.
I feel like with this kind of like a spell crafting, you can start small. And if it doesn't necessarily feel like it's working when you start small, then you can start gradually adding in more materials that have the energy. And if it kind of feels like it's working because you've got like small aspects of it, but it's not completely what you want, then just add a little more, like, just, I guess, gauge to see how far you can go for your spells to work. Or I don't want to say how far because that sounds not very good, but like see how much you can add before your spells are like, hey, we did it.
And adding might not be anything about adding materials. It could be adding the verbal or the semantic element,
or the intention,
or the work. You might not need to add anything more to the action of your spell. You might need to add one of these other options.
Right.
So do keep that in mind. Thank you for coming up with the verbal, semantic, and fucking, what's the other word for it?
Material
components, because
it's
that's a great way.
VSM.
That's a great reference because this works out perfectly in spells. That's why I do love D&D, because they talk about this a lot.
And that's why every time you're watching an anime and they're talking about their powers, it's because they're actually activating it to cast it, but y'all are not ready for that conversation yet.
Most of them, yeah. Most anime magics do exactly that. That's why they're talking about the powers. But yeah.
Kamehameha. Hello.
They don't just scream those things for the sake of it.
Right. And it's like, well, now that he's revealing his power, and they're gonna know how to fucking counter it. Nope, you're literally speaking it out so it can work. You're doing the verbal and the somatic. And if you have materials like Naruto, like a scroll or something, you're doing the material component too.
If you think of spell work as closely related to D&D, then you understand that there's typically a very verbal and somatic, when they start doing a spell. They're chanting something. They're saying something. You have to do it the exact same way when you're doing it for D&D. No reference, no dear source. I need money because I am poor and broke and need to pay my rent.
Dear source, I lost my job. Now I am broke. Please help me. Sincerely, a small witch.
And there's tons of different things that you can add on and layer your magic without necessarily having any material components. You can just divinate to figure out what... You don't even have to divinate. You can just look up the domains of various gods and figure out which one fits your spell the best.
Yeah.
Working with the moon phases. Doing it on a specific moon phase that fits the spell. There's another layer of energy to work with.
Yeah.
Doing it on a specific day of the week that lines with your spell. There's so much stuff that we could talk about, just breaking down all the different meanings of the days, the months, the moon phases, blah, blah, blah. There's so much stuff that you can add on that is completely free. You can go just right outside into a little grass patch of yard and add the ground and set a piece of paper on fire, and there you've got various levels of elements.
Yeah.
You've got the ground, cup of water, there you go. You've got water element. So there's free and easy ways to elevate your spells, and then of course you could always just buy the stuff too. If you got the money, buy the stuff.
Please get it
sourced.
Yes, thank you. There you go.
Ethically sourced, of course. Not big boxed. Go to your local witchcraft store. Support the small fella. We support the small business here.
I might go later this week, honestly.
Yeah. There's tons of different free ways, and if you have the cash money, spend that cash money. Nothing's wrong with it.
What I really like...
It's just another... Here's the thing. People are like, money is evil. No, money isn't evil. Only people give things evilness. Money is just energy. The greed of money is what is evil. Which people can have greed, so it's only people that can be evil.
Again, stop personalizing concepts,
objects,
constructs, objects. These things are inanimate. Even though they have energy, they can't speak to you unless, you're on some acid trip or something and now you've got a dollar bill talking to you. But, these things don't have personalities. These things are not sentient. So they can't say, hey, if you get me, we can commit crimes together.
That's not what money does. Money literally just stares there and looks at you. It's only got fake eyeballs on it. That's it. Mouth don't move. It don't do shit. It's you. What you do with money is good or bad. That's it. If you hoard it, then you're probably a piece of poo-poo. If you keep what you need and give away the rest and you do with what you will and be like, here, I'll buy shit from other people, buy art, buy support artists, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, then you're doing just fine.
Listen, if I had money, the amount of Patreons I'd be subscribing to, the amount of art commissions I'd be getting, the amount of money I'd be donating to charities, having all that money I feel like it would be so burdensome and depressing because it's like I've got all this money.
I really wouldn't be able to keep that much money.
Me neither. Because I'm like, okay, I have so many things that I want to get, and I have so many people that I want to support. I can't just keep this all to myself. We are very generous. So
I am. And I love getting artwork. I have so many OCs that I want artwork specifically commissioned of because they're nowhere but in my mind. And I have artists that are like pricey. But like, I don't care. I would spend the money because they're worth it.
Right.
So I'm way more generous than I could never die with $1 billion. Sorry.
Never.
I will die with $1 because I'm not leaving anybody with shit. So
I'm the opposite. I have a kid, so I would leave my kid stuff. Yeah.
But don't leave them with $1 billion. They don't need none of that.
They'll get a calm 500,000.
Be like, let them get set with give them a little trust funds. Look into a trust fund. I swear to God. Because it allows you to like, don't worry, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on spells. I have nothing left for you guys.
I want to add a little bit of fiction to the spell work because this is Witches and Weebs. We talk about fandom things. It is a Witchy Wednesday, but since we don't have much else to talk about, I want to talk about spell casting in terms of like games, regardless of if it's a tabletop or a PC or a PS4 or 5 Xbox game. I love the concept of how those magical games have schools of magic. So D&D's got schools of magic like divination, abjuration, conjuration, necromancy, illusion, evocation. And I know that there are some of them that can be applied to reality, which is really fucking cool. Transmutation, like all the different schools of magic is what they call it. Because I only know about like enchanting things on the material world and divinating things in the material world.
I don't really know anything about those kind of things like that. That like if there's real world equivalents to the schools of magic, no idea.
Yeah, I don't think so, because even when I looked up School of Magic, it's just all video games, specifically Dungeons and Dragons. But I do know that enchanting and divinating are absolutely used.
Oh, absolutely. Enchanting is 100% a thing. There's warding, which is something I would like to look into for protection magic, but I don't really know anything. And I can't find anything about warding, really. It's all generational magic.
Yeah.
Warding, shielding. There are various types of magic, but they're not like that. Like it would be, let me write down. So I have warding, enchanting, shielding, which is the act of like forming a bubble of energy around you or something to shield you from any bad energy coming out.
Yeah.
Divinating, which is looking into the future, past, or speaking with spirits, something like that. Let me see if I can come up with a couple more.
So I looked something up and someone's like, summoning spirits and talking to spirits is technically a form of necromancy because you're speaking to the dead.
That is a very good point. It could be. Though necromancy technically has to do with the physical body.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work as well as, that's just communing with the spirits.
That's hedge witchery.
That's hedge witchery. It's not actually. A lot of, I do love those little gotcha thingies like that, but most of it is just literally not actually. Because necromancy has specifically to do with the dead body.
I feel like, at least in terms of witchcraft, the archetypes of which are technically the schools of spellcraft. So eclectic witches can do all of these things from these different schools. Like you got a school of kitchen because you're a kitchen witch. You got the school of water because you're a sea witch. The school of the lunar because you're a lunar witch. And all this. And I think it's really, really cool that you can draw from all of those aspects and apply it to your own witchcraft.
And that's honestly why I like the idea of eclectic witchery more than anything for myself right now, because everything interests me. I want to dip my fingers into literally a bit of everything.
Me too.
What other question do you have?
That was it.
Oh. So now that you kind of understand how a spell works, There's many different ways to do a spell. There's spell via kitchen witchery. You make a recipe, and everything that you put into that recipe is magically in tune with the spell that you want it. Say you're making a piece of bread. Okay, but you want it to be a protection bread. So you put salt, you put rosemary, you make this kind of a more savory bread and put garlic and
Ooh, that sounds good.
Ooh, that does sound good. There's probably oregano would be a good one too for protection. So you put that all in the recipe, and now that's a protection loaf. You got a protection loaf.
That reminds
you did a
me
protection
of
spell.
bread from totally off topic. There's this place called Jersey Mike's that has that kind of like Italian seasoning rosemary kind of bread with some cheddar on it, and it's so good.
Okay, so I will tell you a quick hack for any spell work is the Italian seasoning is a great protection spell. If you want to use it for anything, that's...
You got Italian seasoning in your cabinet?
Hold up. I do. I literally keep a little vial of Italian seasoning anytime I do a protection spell. It's the quickest and easiest. It's just the perfect blend. But there's also just doing, like, what I do is I sit on the ground. I have a water element. I have a glass of water. I have a candle lit. I am outside in the dirt for my ground element. And then I have the air around me for my air element. I don't need anything else. But then I will layer it with, I'll put a few little things of herbs in a pot, light it on fire, do my somatic and my verbal component, and that's my kind of spells. And then there's also the type of spells where you literally just write it down, light it on fire, and there you go. There's all types of different spells. There's different ways to do a spell. It really does depend on your specific brand of witchcraft and adjusting it to your specific brand of witchcraft. There's ways to do spell work with divination and through divinating it, when to do it, how to do it.
While Space does this, I just want to say that, and I say this a lot, if you are doing material components of a spell, it really helps to know the like mythology and the meanings behind some, so that way when you are having a very specific intended spell, you can add those and their elements into it, and it'll like enhance it some more. So it's like love. I always use love as an example because it's like the most obvious one. Pink Himalayan salt. You can use rose quartz crystals. You can use, I am drawing a blank on plants. You could use like lavender, rosemary, like there's a lot of things. Roses, you can use roses. Like there are a lot of things that have some meaning that might be applicable to your spell. So just, if you're a nature nut and you know about those kind of things, don't be scared to put them into your spells. The more energy, possibly, the better. Look, you hurt. You're muted.
Oh, my bad. So, you can also cast magic with music if you write a song. Cast magic by dancing. You could cast magic you can cast spell work through items, breaking them. If you want to break a habit, you can put all the energy of that habit into a glass thing and break it on the ground. There, habit broken.
Colors.
There's so many different ways to cast magic that, again, it's something that you learn for yourself.
Suddenly, the witch is dancing outside naked in the moonlight. Doesn't sound too weird now, does it?
Exactly. Like, all the weird things that they got shamed for in the past is just like, oh, now I know why they were doing it. That's pretty much all I have to talk about, actually.
I learned many new things today, especially the very good difference between manifesting and spellcraft. Don't be like me. Well, be like me because I'm learning. So yeah, be like me.
Yeah, actually be like you because you're learning. That's different. Like you're accepting your ignorance in the matter and being like, oh, okay, cool.
That's it. Because I could have easily been like, well, no, because manifestation and witchcraft are the same things. You're just doing blah, blah, blah. It's similar, but similar does not mean same. And once you understand that, you'll be totally okay.
And there's definitely things that spirituality totally apply in witchcraft. The same way with witchcraft totally applying to spirituality. But they're still not the same.
Yep.
Correlation does not make causation.
Spirituality is the precursor to witchcraft. And I'm going to say that until the day I die.
Yeah, I truthfully believe I did it backwards. Went witchcraft first. But, like, it's hard to be in witchcraft and not have a spiritual tendency. Or at least look at yourself different. Even Christian witches are typically very different than their Christian counterparts. Because they have a different understanding.
Yep.
Because do a little bit of explaining here is my husband's family is from another country, and when they found out I was into tarot cards, they didn't blink an eye out of it, despite them all being staunch Christians. The first thing out of any of their mouths was, "Would you read my cards for me?" They asked for a reading. They didn't think anything of it. So it's just that they just believe in Christianity. There's no judgment. They believe in it too. They do it too. I know his mother used to hire a shaman every year. She would go out into the jungle. Like an old school shaman.
The occult and the unknown is not evil. And I really wish people would stop brainwashing themselves and convincing themselves that everything that they don't know is automatically evil because they don't understand it.
Yes, everything that they don't understand is not right, and that's weird. And it also speaks under the idea that people can't see anything outside of themselves. If they didn't experience it, it can't be right and it can't be real, and it must be evil. And that's what you have to get past. A lot of people in the fiction space have a lot of big problems with this. I was watching a couple videos yesterday, and I could go on a big tangent about it, but I won't. Oh no, we'll be here for days, and it won't have anything to do with this video.
We said what we said.
Have to wrap it up. Yeah, everybody can sleep on that for a while.
No, I'm not gonna sleep on nothing, because I'm not even gonna remember it. You're wrong and I'm right.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. You can sleep on that.
Right. Like, okay.
I'll be here when you realize I'm right.
Well, you're never gonna be right, so I'm never gonna see you again.
Cool. Bye.
Right. Okay, before we go off on another tangent again, because we are ADHD and we like to veer off a lot. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Witches and Weebs, Witchy Wednesdays. We hope that you learned something new, and if you did, awesome. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to know when we are putting out new videos. As per usual, may all of your manifestations and affirmations come to fruition. Please practice wisely and practice safely. We encourage that, especially after this episode.
Absolutely. When you're doing a spell, word it very specifically. And don't do spell work out of negativity.
Please.
Don't ever do spell work out of negativity. It never works out right. Never. Just make sure that you're doing your spell work out of a place of good intentions. Okay? That's it.
Okay. Well,
stay mystical.
Yeah, stay mystical. And we will see y'all next week for another episode of Witchy Wednesdays, where we are going to be talking about, what the hell are we talking about next week?
Oh shit, what are we talking about next week?
Oh, water. Charged water. Because regular water just is not good enough for us.
Yeah, dude, we're going to talk about all the 25 different types of water that you could use.
25 different types of water? What?
I'm exaggerating. I don't know how many is on the sheet, but I didn't check before I said anything. You're obnoxious.
25 different ways to charge my water. I can't wait for this episode.
All right, let me see. There's 9. Okay, there's 9.
Okay.
Just for the record.
We'll be talking about 9 ways to charge your water next week. So we will see y'all then. Until next time, everybody.
Hit the like, comment, and subscribe button down below.
Yeah, do that. Okay, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.